Survival horror games are enjoying a wonderful little renaissance period right now, and I couldn't be happier about it. With Signalis and The Bunker immediately becoming some of my favorite games ever made, and several more interesting titles on the way, I'm just ready to continue enjoying my favorite genre. My Friendly Neighborhood is a game that I vaguely remember seeing last year. I don't remember what kind of impression it made on me. It probably just blended together with every other game trailer, and I guess I forgot about it, because I didn't realize I'd seen this game until about 2 hours into it, and man, I'm really glad I got to play it. I was fortunate enough to get a review copy. I probably wouldn't have gotten this on my own, and that's a shame, because it's pretty good. It may be easy to see all the visuals, all the killer puppets coming after you, and the use of toy guns, and kind of dismiss it as a gimmick, but I can assure you this is a well-crafted survival horror game. It takes place in this small area centered around the creation of the My Friendly Neighborhood children's TV show, now a cancelled show. And due to a vacant studio lot regaining power, the show starts broadcasting again over normal channels in the area. You are the worker assigned to turn off the broadcast coming from the top of the hotel. Soon you meet a talking sock puppet, disembodied from the arm that should be controlling it, who tells you that disconnecting the antenna would be a terrible idea, and then he vomits up a keycard that gives you access to the stage area. The protagonist doesn't question this much, he just rolls with it. This would be the first sign to me that something is seriously fucked, and I would immediately call for help. But so the game can continue, he just accepts that there are puppets running around and carries on with the mission. So what are you doing in this game? Well, like I said, it's survival horror, and it delivers effectively on the expectations of the genre. Let's go through them. Resource management. I found health and ammo supplies on the highest available starting difficulty to be fairly well balanced. It's really going to depend on some smart key decisions. Puppets can take anywhere from 4 to a dozen pistol shots to take down. And when you come back to the room, they're back up and ready to fight again. Thorough exploration will yield you duct tape, and you can use it to bind fallen puppets permanently. You'll need to identify key locations that you'll be passing through repeatedly so you can keep the area clear, otherwise you're burning ammo every time. How well you use duct tape will have a huge impact on your available resources as you play. There's a boss fight that does a good job of emptying out your ammo reserves, and the health items only heal you by half. Enemies do not drop any items or resources, so there is no reward for combat, and more resources need to be found through exploration. You cannot buy them at a store. Inventory management. You've got a hybrid RE4 and original Resident Evil system here, with a large inventory that has to be managed by sorting and flipping items, but there's also a permanent storage magic chest that can be accessed from any save room. For this game, it works pretty well, though I wouldn't say I regularly had to make tough inventory decisions. I think there were only maybe 3 times I couldn't pick something up and I had to discard a resource or go back to a chest. If you're any good at managing inventories in these kinds of games, you won't have much of a problem. I'm not looking for Signalis levels of inventory pressure, but it would have been nice to have something a bit more thoughtful. Puzzles. For the most part, I found My Friendly Neighbor's puzzles to be at least moderately engaging, with a few that made me really stop and think for a while, either due to simply overlooking a clue or failing to find the logic immediately. The earliest puzzle is unfortunately a mindless random clicking fest, almost as bad as Village's piano puzzle. Almost, you do actually look at what you're doing. But as the game goes on, puzzles get progressively more interesting, and I was pretty happy with the variety. Item-based puzzles, math puzzles, having to remember things you saw in other rooms, locker combinations, secret doors. It felt like just the right amount and difficulty for this particular game. Combat. The melee attack is garbage, which I'm typically okay with in a survival horror game. The RNG damage on the pistol keeps things tense and makes you want to carry the shotgun more. It's all fine, though I'm not a fan of the out-of-control random accuracy on the pistol. I've missed too many shots that my character would have to be blind to have actually missed. You can use random stun states to run past the main puppets, and as the game goes on, you'll get to see smaller puppets that jump at you, so you'll have to pick them off the walls or the floor to get by. I'd probably say the lowest point in the game's combat is near the end in a boss fight where I was able to pass it just hiding in a room doing nothing until the timer ran out. Like any good survival horror game, the backtracking and limited resources lead to fight-or-flight combat decisions, looking at the enemies in the room and wondering if you can get past without having to shoot anyone. Save system. I very much appreciate My Friendly Neighborhood's commitment to hard saves only. There are no checkpoints. Saving is only done in dedicated save areas, usually 2 per map, and maybe this has been in another game and I just haven't seen it before, but there's a token system where you can only save at the cost of 1 token, like in old school ink ribbon. But you can also buy a full heal for 1 token. Since health items only restore half health, using 1 token for a full heal from a danger state is a very tempting option, one that I went with several times, leading me to have only 1 spare save on me at some points. It created a nice bit of tension as I ended up having to take longer risks, possibly losing a significant amount of progress to a mistake. Level design. There is a lot of exploration and backtracking in My Friendly Neighborhood, and it's pretty well designed. I think the first map, the TV stage, is the weakest, with a central puzzle that has you running circles around the area 5 or 6 times. It's pretty weak, but once you get to the sewers and the offices, the levels really come alive. You'll be opening your map frequently, trying to decide if you should tape up an enemy if an area looks important, and gaining access to new rooms with the keys you find. I'd say this is the most Metroidvania survival horror game I've ever played. Whereas most survival horror games will have you figuring out single maps and moving on, with only a small amount of connectivity here and there, maybe, My Friendly Neighborhood demands that you look at the maps of past areas to see if there's a door from hours ago that you can now unlock. There are no objective markers leading the way, it's up to you to figure it out. And thankfully, the map gives you just enough information to be able to discern your direction by associating it with relevant puzzle items. A large part in the game succeeding in not making you feel totally lost is how they use the map system from the Resident Evil 2 remake, where rooms that still have something to do in them are highlighted in red. It may be a puzzle item or a switch or just some bullets, so it's not telling you exactly what to do, only that there's something still there. I like this map system a lot. As for the horror of this survival horror game, I wouldn't call it scary. It's too brightly lit and cute looking to be scary. I got jump scared a couple times, a few legitimate screams when someone snuck up on me, but that's about it. The puppets say creepy stuff, but it doesn't scare. It's more just funny to let them ramble and listen to their demented nonsense.
Take your closest friend and separate all of their parts into little piles based on color. This will be what you make your crafts out of. I like to use Norman because he has all sorts of oranges and reds I can use. Now I start patching my piles of red onto the pipe cleaners.
So you don't really want to play this looking for terror. It's 100% about the gameplay. There's a good amount of replayability with unlockable difficulties and a good amount of secret areas to find. You can unlock cheats and game modes. There's even a built-in speedrunner mode, which is a nice consideration. You also won't be playing this game for its story. It is another one of those games where most of the lore and story is relegated to notes. It's not an overwhelming amount, just a few per map, but whatever story they're trying to tell here isn't told in any kind of interesting way, so I didn't care much about it. Though I do think some of the late game information learned from the sock puppet is interesting, it just made me wish the game had been giving me this interesting information earlier and through more effective means. That's pretty much all I have to say on My Friendly Neighborhood. It's a light recommendation. I think if you're really into serious survival horror gameplay, you're gonna find a satisfying experience here, even if it's just one playthrough. For the casual audience, this probably isn't for you. Don't buy it because the creepy puppet things look fun. This is a fairly hardcore survival horror game. But if you've already played The Bunker and Signalis and you're looking for more, I say go for it. Thanks for watching.